Hello folks, it's Chris in Arena's studio. Today we're going to chat about cycling licks, as in something similar to the Sweet Child of Mine riff that we played there, where it repeats over and over and over with pedal tones or certain specific notes that you keep visiting. Now, one of the things that I get asked a lot when we're working in the studio with students on the lessons is, how do you practice something like that? You know, going from A to Z, trying to play the whole phrase over and over is a really difficult thing to do. So hopefully you've got your tabs in front of you and you can read the tabs and you're all familiar with that type of stuff. And we'll use this classic riff as a great example of how I would teach somebody to practice this in the minimum amount of time to get maximum results, really, which is what I'm a big believer in when it comes to playing the guitar. Okay, so for me, I would look at doing this instead of trying to play the whole thing from start to finish and hopefully looking to play it without any mistakes. That's what we want, is to play error-free. I would look at playing maybe the first 3 notes. That's all, just the first 3 notes, and get that. And doing all downstrokes. If you wonder what the buzz is, it's just the noise gate on the settings on the guitar. It just wants tweaking, but we're all right for what we want to do today. So just get the downstrokes right on the first 3 notes. Some guys will alternate pick this. I find it a lot easier to just play with downstrokes. So I would get the first 3 notes and make sure you've got no errors in there. Now, I tend to try and aim for 10 to 15 correct repetitions of the first part, the first section. And so on. So I'll get my set done of, say, 15. Now when I can play those first 3 notes perfectly, I know it's time after 15 repetitions. After 15 repetitions, it's time to add the 4th note, okay? So then we'd have something like this. Now if you think about this, we've already practiced those first 3 notes, so when we've got 3 notes that we've practiced, we then add the 4th. We're still continually working on those first 3 notes, but adding only adding a tiny little piece of information extra onto this sequence of notes. So then I would aim to getting those those 4 notes up to maybe 15 repetitions, and then the same process again. I would then add another note, the 5th note in, so we would then get so on, so that we gradually get from A to Z on the whole performance like that. Now if you practice that consistently, you're going to find that you'll learn this a lot quicker. The other thing that I see with a lot of students that we don't focus on is that we're looking at 2 completely separate mechanical movements when we're trying to learn a riff or a song. So with a cycling riff like this, it's quite easy to just, once you get the cycle of the notes going and you've worked on 1 note, 2 note, 3 notes, and then added 4, 5, and so on, and you get to the end of it, always practice it at the speed that you can play it perfectly. Okay, that's the important bit. If you're making mistakes or you can't get to your 15 or your 10 to 15 repetitions, then you're going too fast. Slow it down and get that gold standard, that real quality in your playing, and then that becomes second nature when you move forward on other things to play. Okay, so the other thing that gets overlooked is, like I was saying, is we've got 2 separate mechanical movements, left hand and right hand. Left hand and right, I don't know, it looks a bit back to front on this camera, but you know what I mean. Fretting hand and picking hand. Now one of the things that I see with most students, if I say to them, whatever you're playing now, play it without using the left hand. So something like that would be. So again, you have to think, visualize what this left hand is doing, and just, if you can't play the right hand on its own, how do you expect to play left and right hands together? Okay, so focus on getting this right as an independent set of muscular movements, as well as this. So then when you've got the picking action right, you can then add the notes on and then you create this opportunity where left and right hands then sync up and marry up together. And then if you've practiced this 1, 2, 3, add in a 4th note on, then a 5th note, 6th and so on. Before you weigh out, you get to the end of the riff and you play it flawlessly time after time after time. Now it's up to you whether you decide to alternate pick this riff or whether you prefer to play with downstrokes. I prefer personally downstrokes. I know some of the students that come in that play it with alternate picking and they can play it brilliantly. And I also know 1 or 2 that actually do this kind of thing where they'll kind of... well, they'll kind of hybrid pick it as well. So whichever works for you is the way that you stick with. The golden piece of information, again, as I always say, is only ever practice at the speed that you can play it perfectly. So try it. Try with 3 notes, add a 4th one after 15 repetitions. When you've got 4 notes for 15 clean, perfectly played repetitions, add the 5th note. It really makes you focus and think about the sequence of notes that you're working on as well. And then also see whether you can play the sequence with just the right hand. It doesn't matter what you work on. Sometimes I'll try that quite often. I'll work on a sequence, a scalar shape or a scalar pattern or a sequence, scalar sequences, and I'll play them with just the right hand. So you lose the musicality, and what you tend to focus on then is the rhythmic content that this right hand provides. And then you'd be surprised how often it falls apart till you actually slow it down and drill that right hand. And then when you put the left hand on, boom, you're off and running. Okay, so it's a quick one for you there. Please give the channel a like and a subscribe. It makes my day. Stay safe, stay well, and as always, keep on rocking in the free world.